A very, very big welcome to Faithfully Booked. This is Faithfully Booked, as you see from everywhere around chat. This is Faithfully Booked. I'm sorry for clapping. Why am I clapping? Welcome to Faithfully Booked. It's great to have you here. My name is Tomi Sin, and this is Faithfully Booked, like I've said a million times already. This is Faithfully Booked, and the video is a history of reading. That's the title of this video, as you can see from below and everything. A history of reading. And basically the aim of this video is to serve as an introductory video to allow you get acquainted with with me, with my journey with books. It's not really about me, it's about books, it's about reading and everything, to allow you get acquainted with my journey with books, and how far I've come, and where I am right now and everything, and to also state the goals of this YouTube channel, to state the goals of Faithfully Booked. Why Faithfully Booked? Why this Faithfully Booked? What's the point of Faithfully Booked? And everything like that. Do you get? Okay, so yeah, you can just go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and every other thing. You can share to your status, share to your Instagram story, all of that good stuff and everything. So let's just let's get into it. Yeah, let's get into it. When I was in primary school, I went to primary school, right? So when I was in primary school, my primary school had an amazing library, right? And this library had, a whole lot of books, a ton of books, like amazing books by authors like Annie Blyton, Roald Dahl, and just different books, right? And the thing was that we could just go to the library and read, pick up any book basically, right? So that, afforded me the opportunity to actually, fall in love with books, right? And everything. So there were different books, and another system was that, every class could go to the library for a block of time per week and just, sit in the library. They were just supposed to sit in the library and just browse through the shelves and just read, right? So that was something that my primary school did. And they would have book fairs and things like that. They'll bring books from outside, and we could just go through the books and buy it and things like that. So my primary school really emphasized the importance of reading, and also my father as well would buy me books, encourage me to read and things like that. So it was easy for me to get into books and fall in love with books from early on basically. So after that I went to secondary school. From primary school I went to secondary school, and then from secondary school to university, which is actually a privilege and everything, so glory to Jesus and everything. So before I got into secondary school, I actually got introduced to this popular online reading platform, and you can already guess it, blah da 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 and everything, Wattpad, right? So I got introduced to Wattpad, and so I was on Wattpad for a long time. Those were the days of the girl you never noticed. Those were the days of My Life with the Water Boys. And My Life with the Water Boys, it recently got turned into, I think, a Netflix production. I think that was last year or something. So those were the days of those books, right, when I actually got into Wattpad and everything. So I actually got introduced to Wattpad early, and it was like a book lover's haven. There were a lot of books, like there were no limitations like they are today, no paid stories and all of that. So you could just see a book, download it, see a book, download it, see a book, download it, and it was so amazing and everything. Back then it was so amazing and everything. So if you were on Wattpad, or you are on Wattpad, you can just comment the books, basically just comment some books, just drop it there. So yeah, eventually I got to secondary school, and my secondary school library was not it, right? It was not it. So it was filled with textbooks, Yoruba storybooks, and that's not really what I was interested in back then and everything. I don't think I'm still interested in that anyways. So it was filled with all of that, right? And what, one thing that was really funny was the fact that I became the library prefect. I actually became the library prefect, and the year that I was actually supposed to assume duties and everything, that was the year they now scraped the library. Amazing stuff. Shout out to my secondary school. And if you're from my secondary school, you can just say hi. I don't know. Okay, so majority of my secondary school years I actually spent it on online reading platforms like Wattpad, like Dream, like Inkit, and eventually Z Library and everything, right? So, but out of all of them, it was still Wattpad. It's Wattpad that I spent the longest amount of years. I spent so much years on Wattpad, like 5 years. I still have the app, I still have my account and everything, but I'm not as active anymore, right? And everything. So, and I'm actually going to be talking about the benefits of, my years on Wattpad. I'm going to be talking about all of that, going to be delving into that in a video, in a separate video. So just stay tuned to this channel, because, amazing stuff is coming up by the grace of God. Okay, so at the point in my Wattpad journey, I got to a point where, because there were so much books on Wattpad. You could just literally, just wake up one day, okay, you just come up with a story idea and you can just, publish it on Wattpad. the restrictions were not really there. Do you get that kind of thing, right? So you could just, anytime, any book you want, you can just, just go there and start typing, whether it's about murder, whatever you want, you can just go and type it, right? So these were the books that I was exposed to, and from early on, do you get that kind of thing? So basically, it got to a point because, okay, I started knowing Jesus, right? I was becoming a Christian. I don't really know how to phrase it, but eventually, I got to know God. I got saved, things like that. And eventually my relationship with God, that was something I started taking seriously and everything. So it got to a point where I would just scroll past, certain themes. Let's say, okay, because of the themes, right? Because of certain themes that, people were posting, people were writing, like basically SNVO content. Do you get that kind of thing? SNVO content, basically, right? So it got to a point where this was not something I wanted to read anymore, and I knew that, oh, this is not good, right? You get that kind of thing. So I would just, scroll past that part. And the Bible says something in the book of Matthew, was Jesus speaking, and he said, what he said was that, he basically said that if your eye causes you to sin, cut it off. If your hand causes you to sin, cut it off, basically. And the Amplified Version, which I'm going to actually link down here, the Amplified Version actually says that you should remove yourself from the source of temptation. So in that case, I was not actually removing myself from source of temptation, which was not actually wisdom, which was actually foolishness, right? You get that kind of thing. So that was something that I was doing. I was like, oh, let me just scroll past this part. Let me just scroll past this part. So I'm not looking, which is like, okay, let's say something, bad, let's say a violent scene or a sex scene comes up on television, and you just quickly, maybe you close your eyes, or you fast forward if your television has an option or something like that, right? So I got to a point where I'll just scroll past it quickly and everything. So eventually I went to university by the grace of God, and I was reading less and less because I was trying to adjust to the new environment and everything, the new workload, everything is strange and everything. So I was reading less and less and everything, but I still had some books on my library, but I wasn't just reading as much and everything. So there was a point that I had actually had a conversation, and there was something that Albert Moller Jr. actually said in his book, The Conviction to Lead, which by the grace of God I'll be doing a review on that soon. So just stay tuned, because amazing stuff is coming. Amazing stuff. Okay, so something he said in his book was that when leaders actually gathered, the topic of books would naturally rise up, right, and everything. So I was in that conversation, and I was surrounded by people who, amazing people, right? I don't want to mention their name, but they were amazing people and everything. I don't even want to give more detail, but they were amazing people and everything. So yeah, the topic of books came up and everything, and they were talking about books, and they asked me that, okay, what books do you read? And I was like, oh, fantasy books. Imagine that, people talking about, let's say, a book like, okay, Michelle Obama's becoming Barack Obama's book, let's say, okay, how to hear the Holy Spirit, things like that, and then me, I'm saying, oh, it's fantasy books, I read. You get that kind of thing. So that conversation just prompted me to actually go back and just delete all my books. It's not like the books were necessarily bad or anything, but they were not valuable, they were not enriching books per se, right? And this is why Faithfully Booked is here, to actually provide you with a selection of books that would actually enrich you and add value to your life, instead of books that would not do that. Do you get that kind of thing? Yeah, basically. And so over the summer, which was last year's summer, I actually, set a reading goal for myself, which was 30 books, and I did not end up actually completing it, but I got to about 27, 28, right? And that was a reading goal that I set for myself that I did not achieve. And it was also during that time that the idea for this YouTube channel actually arose, and here I am. I did not start it off because I just kept on procrastinating, postponing and everything, but here we are, and it's so great to actually be here. I'm excited to actually embark on this journey of Faithfully Booked with all of you. So I just encourage you to actually like, subscribe to the channel, put on the notification bell, all those things basically, and just stay tuned, right? So I just want to actually just go ahead and stress the importance of obedience, because this idea, it did not come from me, it came from God and everything. God wanted me to do this. God wanted me to do this, right? Because he knew about the audience, he knew about the people on the other end of this. He knew about the people on the other side of this and everything, right? So it's just so important to obey God, right? We know this Bible verse, Jeremiah 29 verse 11, right? And it says, I know the thoughts that I have towards you for good, not for evil, to give you a future and hope and everything. So if God actually asks me to do something, it is actually for my good, and because he has actually seen the end from the beginning of it, right? So obedience is actually a seed, and disobedience is also a seed, and both of them actually have consequences. The Bible assures us that, bro, you're going to reap what you sow. So if it's obedience, you will reap it. If it's disobedience, you actually reap it. Disobedience has consequences. Obedience also has consequences, right? So you can just, if God has actually been saying, oh, do this, do that, or something like that, just go ahead and do it, because he actually knows the reason why he's actually asking you to do it. And there's something that Apostle Selman actually said. He said that, every instruction of God to the believer, every instruction of God to the believer is actually for their benefit, right? So just stay tuned, right? And also, I think another thing that you can actually just go ahead to do at this point is, if there's a certain book you actually want me to review or anything, just drop it in the comment section right now. Or you can actually just go to faithfullybooked@gmail.com and actually just send me the book you want me to review. But obviously, there are certain books I will not be reviewing because, yeah, it's not my palette. Is it palette? Color palette, yeah. There are certain books I'll not be reviewing, books that have, let's say, sexual content, nudity, violence, strong language, those things, right? I don't know how to describe them in words, which is not good because I'm a reader and I should know. Anyways, but yeah, so just go ahead and send in any book you want me to review or any book recommendation. Just go ahead and send it. So Faithfully Booked is actually a YouTube channel, inspired by God. It's actually a YouTube channel with two major goals, and these goals are actually, first off, to actually examine books from a Christian worldview, right? Examine books from a Christian worldview and determine whether these are books that we should be reading, whether these are books that would add value to our life, right? Whether these are books that we should actually be taking in, right? Because we know that whatever we take in actually flows out of us eventually, right? So that's the first goal of Faithfully Booked. And the second goal of Faithfully Booked is actually to provide an alternative selection of books to the viewers, to the audience, to everyone watching this, right? To actually provide an alternative selection of books, because we know that there are many books, what is the word populating? There are many books populating, populating the world. There are many books. You can just, go on the internet, read anything. Anybody can just wake up and write anything, and things like that, right? So this YouTube channel is actually just going to help the viewers to actually, be able to sieve, right? Is this a book I should read? Is this not a book I should read, right? And it's going to, provide a selection of books, because, awareness is a serious problem. There are people that do not know that, okay, amazing books actually exist, and they just settle for less, basically. They settle for less with their library, which is not something we should be doing. So this YouTube channel is actually going to be doing these two things. So I'll just encourage you to just stay tuned, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and just stay expectant and anticipate.